I always love a good middling response.
Oh yeah, 100%. And with that, welcome to the Mega Monster Cast. My name is Nick. In a very different room, you're looking at me in my childhood bedroom slash now storage closet, I guess. With me
That
is
explains the artwork on the wall.
oh yeah, no 100. This I remember. I think I was like 7 when we did this. Yep. With me is Alex,
Hello, everybody.
and today we are going to do a special episode where we're going to talk about Ultraman. I have watched
Specifically,
quite
the
a bit.
pilot.
Yep. We were talking about the pilots of what I chose as 4 very specific Ultraman shows. We have watched the
It
first
was.
episode of the original Ultraman, which is
Hmm.
not technically the original Ultra show, but I wanted you to start with the
Wait,
one
there's
that
an Ultra show without Ultraman.
yeah, Ultra Q. Ultra Q came out the year
Ultra
before.
Q.
Yep, it was just about like a defense force. They added in Ultraman for the second show.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's why I keep seeing the Defense Force members.
yep. The defense force
Okay.
was like the main thing in the first show. Yeah, so we have Ultraman. Then we went with Ultraman Tiga, which was the first
Right.
Heisei Ultra show. There was like a big
And have we
gap between the
have we
last one and
seen
that one.
have we seen any? Yeah, I think it was like the '60s and then the '90s.
Well, so the last show was 1980, and then they took a bit like a 16-year gap between that one and Tiga.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, have we watched any Heisei for our other
Uh,
content yet?
we have so far in terms of the movies we've watched, we've only been watching Heisei.
Only Heisei. Okay, I
Yep,
couldn't remember if we haven't or have only been doing
yep.
Heisei.
We've
Okay.
only been doing Heisei for like Heisei started in the 80s, so that was like we've only been doing Heisei movies.
Oh
The,
God, was Gunhead Heisei?
yeah, yeah, Gunhead's Heisei.
No,
Yep, Gunhead's Heisei.
no.
Um, but yeah, so we watched Ultraman Tiga, which was the first show of the Heisei era. We watched Ultraman Ginga, which is they took another big gap between 2006 and 2013. So Ginga is considered the first new gen Ultra,
Okay,
and then
okay.
Ultraman Blazar, which was the most recent Ultraman show.
Was that okay? So with Blazar, was I supposed to watch that in dubbed or subbed?
I didn't
I
care,
feel
dude.
like
I
I
didn't
feel like I
care.
remember Josh requesting that I watch it in dubbed,
I mean, honestly, it
but
didn't matter to me. Like the dub's
okay,
honestly solid. Like it's a pretty good dub, all
one
things
bad,
considered.
one bad.
Yep. Yeah. The reason I chose these were that they each represent like a starting point, in my opinion. The first Showa Ultraman is the first time we get an Ultraman. Tiga was there was like a huge gap between that and between the last Ultraman show and that one, and this was like a jumping on point for a lot of people. Ginga was another like there was a gap, and then Ginga happened, and then Blazar's the newest show, but also like doesn't expect you to have watched any Ultraman before that.
I don't feel like any of them really did
Yep.
as far. I mean, like they made references, I think, in Blazar and Ginga to like, oh yeah, that's a legend that we know about, and that was kind of it.
Yep. Yep. That's the big element for those. So
Does every new Ultraman insert name here start with the origin story of the human pilot?
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Are they called pilots? I don't know. I don't know.
Usually it's like host or something because
Oh,
depending on the
okay.
Ultra show, they either are the Ultraman and it's just a power they have, or they switch places with the Ultraman and then the Ultraman like takes over when they're a giant.
That was kind of the impression I got was that in these four shows that kind of the human is just used kind of as a vehicle, and then Ultraman is in control when he's doing the battle scenes. I'm not sure if that's the actual uh, what's going on. Maybe we learn more about that as the show goes on. But in the pilot, that was just kind of how it seemed to me.
Mhm. Also, I just realized I am using the wrong microphone. That thing tried to default back to the webcam.
Oh man.
Oh, well, whatever. I'll switch it on the fly. We got this.
Better late than never.
All right, there you go. That also is probably going to be a lot higher audio sounding. Anyway,
There we go.
so, what were your initial thoughts?
Okay, so I watched them in the order that you gave me, which was latest to newest, or oldest to newest rather. I felt like the first one, the original Blazar, was good. I liked the model work in all of them. I thought that was really fun. It felt a little bit more sluggish,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more serious than the other ones. But it was good. I could see that. I think it was probably my least favorite of them.
That's
That
fair.
and then Tiga was pretty good. Some of the special effects though, like when they were doing the computer animated pyramid thing, like I like the practical effects a lot more usually. So that was a little bit of a downside. I didn't really feel as attached to the characters in Tiga, but I liked the was Tiga the one where he changed colors?
Yep.
That was fun. Like the battle scene was pretty fun. Uh Enjoyed that. The Blazar was interesting. Not sure I enjoyed or I understood like why he was so vocal in the battle.
Yeah, with
That
all
got a
his
little
grunts.
distracting. Yeah, I felt like he was like he kept saying the word Roy,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting. I'm like, what does he say? Okay, no, I think he's just making an affectation. Um, and the special effects in that were really cool. Like I think from Tiga to that one, it was really they really showed a good improvement on it. And I feel like Blazar had hella budget
Oh
as
yeah.
well. Just like the amount of like set pieces that they were doing and destroying was great. And then because I saved the best for last, Ginga was a fucking 10 out of 10. I like
Really? Okay. Wait. So,
I
are you sure you're talking about? All right. So,
with the action figures.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
I loved that so much. The whole time I was just on my feet, oh man, I had so much fun with that show. I will probably watch Ginga before
Okay.
I watch any of the other ones. That one was a straight 10 out of 10. Loved every second of it.
All right. Right on. I
It
am.
was so weird. Like I thought it was like it hit me in the silly spot so well, and it was like it was so it took itself so not seriously enough that I didn't give a shit. I think my favorite bit was let me see if I can remember it right. He's like when we see the first Ultraman before we get actual Ginga.
Yeah. Taro, I think.
Yeah, Taro. He
Yep.
gets thrown around, and after our hero turns into the kaiju, and he just goes, "I'd like to be big soon," and as he flies across the screen. When he said, "I'd like to be big soon," as he's
Yep.
just being tossed across the screen, I'm like, "All right, nope, I'm sold. This is for me. I love this." It was stupid in all the right ways.
All right. Right on.
So,
Right on.
so Ginga was my shit.
Okay. So Ginga is actually the shortest of the ones that we that I had you look at. Well, no. So Ginga's the shortest because it only has, I think, 12 or 13 episodes. But Ginga's also like
That's fair.
special for Ultra in that it gets 2 seasons, so it matches most new gens in terms of episode counts. It's just split up into 2 seasons.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yep.
Why does it? What denotes the seasons? Do we get like a new protagonist?
No, kind of. So Ginga, the first season is all set in that one town. And it's about like the people he went to school with. And then in season 2, he joins the Defense Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you never see any of his friends again.
We just put a bow on it. Done.
Yep. I left the countryside and now I'm never fucking going back.
I got what I needed.
Yep.
It was probably fate.
Oh yeah. All right. So, here's a little game I want to play with you. One of these shows won a
It's not
prestigious
that
sci-fi award. I want you to tell me which one you think won.
What was is that the whole title of the prestigious science
Well,
science
so
award?
it was like
Or what was
I
the
can't
award
remember.
for?
It's like it's Japan's equivalent of the Hugo Awards, basically.
For like science fiction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one of these 4 shows won essentially a Japanese Hugo.
Is it Tiga?
Yep.
Okay, is it because I feel like the reasoning behind my answer of Tiga was because it felt like they were really leaning into like um the geography, like actually having it be like, yeah, there's ancient civilizations in this place. We're talking about Easter Island. I feel like they probably paid some good details. Like I found it interesting. Like they're like, oh yeah, I can't remember the monster's name, but he appeared in Easter Island. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Was it Melba, the
Mulga?
flying one? Was it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
that was Melba. Eventually, they
Melba.
fuse and become Golba.
They fuse?
Yeah.
Fusion, ha! Probably the other way. I can't. Yeah, because of the screen. Anyways, we were gonna turn into freaking
Yep.
Fat Veku anyway.
Yep. Yeah. So
I actually really also enjoyed the monster designs in all 4. I thought that was I thought that was really cool, and I guess I liked, in comparison to the Godzilla movies we watched, I feel like the smashing the action figures together works a little bit better here. Like I feel like the pacing was better than I think a lot of the Godzilla ones have been. Like the Godzilla ones are very slow and lumbering, but not like cinematically so. Whereas like when they got in close on like the crab one,
yep.
they like slowed down the frame rate and everything, so it had a very lumbering, big, bulky aspect to it. I feel like they framed the monster's size a little bit better, but we're still able to have like Ultraman doing cool moves and everything.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's another thing. I think actually no, I don't think Ginga uses his beam, but so there's a thing that most
we saw the
yep. So
the signature beam or whatever.
yep. So like you got like the cross beam for the Spacium beam for Ultraman, or like the Zaperian beam for Tiga. But you also get like a couple of like outlier attacks too, like the Spiral Burade, where it's just a fucking spear that Blazar tosses.
Yeah, he like did Blazar did like the underhand like softball pitch of death. What does the beeping flashing crystal on his chest signify? Does that mean he's running out of power?
So that's called a color timer, because it changes from blue to red when it starts doing that. Sure. So Subaraya Productions realized like really early on in making Ultraman that the fights between Ultraman and the Kaiju of the Week cost a lot of money for them to do, and they could really only afford to do like about 3 minutes worth of fighting for an episode. So they invented the color timer, which shows that Ultraman can only survive in his actual form for about 3 minutes, and the color timer starts flashing when he's getting close to the end of his time.
Okay.
So it's a visual cue.
It's a budgetary narrative.
Yep. And it's a visual cue to show like, oh, he's almost out of time. We need to make sure that like hopefully he finishes off his enemy fast enough.
You can add the extra layer of suspense to it. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of figured, but I like that there was like a full-on explanation for it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like that Eiji Tsuburaya had worked on like a bunch of Godzilla movies by then. He kind of knew how to like game the system. Working in television's a little different than working in movies, obviously, but like he knew, like, okay, so we're limited on this. Let's come up for an excuse for why we're limited on this instead of just we are.
Right.
All right. Let's see what else. So which suit do you think was the most interesting for you in terms of the ultras?
I think it has to be Blazar's.
That's fair.
And like I kind of just actually dug it as well. I think Tiga's is the one I think of more. I kind of reminds me of that enemy in the Tournament of Power
Mhm.
arc that changes his color for like attack mode, defense
Yep.
mode.
And I think that's a direct reference to this.
It almost has to be, right?
Mhm.
Because that kind of Speed Racer Ultraman esque suit very much is reminiscent of all this.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I'd have to say like I probably liked them in reverse chronological order.
Mhm.
Like I
So
feel like the suit got more interesting as time went along.
yeah, when that happened, like I don't know for sure about this, but I know for like the last few ultras, with the advent of 3D printing, they're able to like 3D print some of the aspects of the suit so they can
Oh,
yeah, like I think they first started doing that with Ultraman Z, whose shirt I'm wearing right now, and it's gone on from there. I
right
want to
on.
say Blazar has some 3D printed aspects to it. Not
Well, I mean,
100% certain, but probably.
I was gonna say if it's not epoxy molded, it might be 3D printed.
Hmm. All right, so what do you? I'm trying to think of a good way. So what do you think the most like the obviously like we talked about the action is different, but what do you think the biggest differences are between like the things that you've already been watching, so like Kaiju number 8 and the various Heisei movies and these shows? What are like the biggest differences you've noticed?
Um, what era of Godzilla was it where you get the kind of like real rubbery suit and he flies with the
Gosh,
flying drop kick and he's
yeah,
like slap chopping
that would
everybody?
be Showa. That would be like early to mid Showa.
I'd say that Ultraman feels more Showa in its battle choreography than anything else that we've watched.
Okay,
Because
that's
it's
fair.
not, but it's not silly. I think Tiga's was the most silly. Um, no, I mean the taunting in Blazar was pretty silly.
Yeah, and you'll get
Uh,
some like if you watch more like the very next episode of Blazar has him turn that spear into a fishing rod.
I saw the GIF of that,
Yeah.
and that's pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think when I think about the combat from Tiga, I remember him jumping on the kaiju and just like wailing on
Yeah.
the guy. So I think it has a little bit more bombastic fighting than like any of the Godzilla movies themselves. Like the fight between Biollante and Godzilla was not nearly this bombastic.
No. Which I mean, you can also chalk that up to the fact that like to a certain extent that happens just because some of these like it's probably easier to fight when you're wearing a humanoid suit than when you're wearing a Godzilla suit. You know, like you're
I
a little
think
bit
that's
limited in your
probably a big
motion when you're
deal.
like this.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's probably a big part of that that's true, and I think also the pacing requirements kind of mean like you're watching Ultraman, right?
Hmm.
So you want to see Ultraman at some point, but I only have so much budget and I only have so much time. So let's put all the action really fast, really condensed here. I think the pacing also makes it feel a little bit more okay. What's he gonna do now? Oh, he takes a right. Oh, he takes a left. Oh, instead of like the energy beam, and we're gonna sit talking about the energy beam for 15 seconds. We just move right on from the energy beam, which is great. I actually really like the action in all four, frankly. And again, really appreciated the model work.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that stuff.
All right. Gosh, there's some shows that like the model work is insanely well done.
Like all of these kind of have like there's something wrong with the scene. I can't describe it because I don't do visual arts as much as I do acoustic arts. Uh, but there's always something that gives away that it's a model in all the shows, in all the movies. But every now and again, you like you can fool the eye. You
Yep.
can actually get the aspect right. And I'm really waiting for a shot that I know is a model that or a miniature specifically that fools me because I know there's going to be a few coming up because this is like their art.
Oh yeah. So I can think of one specifically that I thought was like insanely well done. Where they shot a shot through a model. So like they set up their camera and they had like a building with like a cross section, and they shot like a fight from the like panning through the building. So you saw the fight going on through the building's windows as the camera was moving along.
That's really neat. Like,
oh yeah.
I was thinking of something a little bit more simple than that because that's really impressive practical work, and I really want to see that shot.
Oh dude,
But
it's
I was
so
thinking
good.
of something just the thing that always comes to mind when I think of like real good miniature work is actually an inverse um, example because it's more of it's more of the aspect and perspective that makes the miniatures or anything else work better. But you remember that scene in I think it's Fellowship of the Ring
Mm-hmm.
where the ring gets dropped in snow and you
Yep.
see like it's in the foreground and you see the rest of the party walking up towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how big that ring is? It's massive.
Oh yeah, it
Like
has to be.
well, it was about the size of like a like I think between a softball and a basketball, like an enormous model gold ring. But you couldn't tell that it wasn't tiny in that shot. It's it's really how you play with that camera aspect.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of really good stuff. I don't mean to demean the Heisei model work. I really like it.
But there's something to be said about like we have only improved on stuff like that over time, not gone backwards.
Definitely. Oh
Which
yeah.
is
I
like
mean, and now, especially after like the late 1990s and the early 2000s, where if you found a practical effect, it was a rarity. It was all CG all the time. Now we're going into this hybrid era where you get a lot of practical effects that are enhanced with computer generated graphics, and like now we're finally getting to really good art in that, and really good visual effects, in my opinion.
yeah, no, I I am very thoroughly impressed, especially with like the last couple of Ultra shows. Like I would say like I didn't watch much of Taiga, but like Zet onward have just an insanely good job of mixing mostly practicals with enough CG to like make it pop.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I was hoping that they also get on that bandwagon too.
Oh yeah, you'll get like little things here and there. Like they do lean a lot more on the practicals, which I appreciate. But like, I mean, obviously, the Ultra Beam has to be special effects, which
I thought they executed it well though.
oh yeah, and like
That was good.
I feel like each one is a step up. Well, especially the way you saw it, because there's so many years in between each one. Like you can see just
Yeah.
that increase in quality. Like even
Oh
from
yeah.
like Ginga to to Blazar, like going from Ginga throwing a fucking energy galaxy to just like that simple but like really effective energy spear.
Yeah, yeah. I like the Ultra Thunderbolt or whatever the
Yeah,
hell it
yeah.
was.
Where he
Good
sends
finishing move.
lightning into the sky, then throws a galaxy at his enemies.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
I thought it was yeah, a great first episode on that.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's talk about music now, because I know that's something you appreciate. So let's hit theme songs first. Which theme song do you think was the best? And bear in mind, so this is going to be weird. You actually didn't get to listen to the first Tiga theme song due to like some really weird copyright stuff. They only used the second half of the show's theme song in the worldwide distributions.
Mm-hmm.
But out of the
Well, that's
themes, which one did you think was the most effective?
oh man. See, I wasn't really focusing on the themes because I usually don't get into like the themes until like the second or third episodes of them because I'm like don't know what to expect. I actually on purpose skipped Blazars
All
because
right,
like
fair
I
enough.
kept like I did like I saw what y'all are talking about in regards to like the embedded spoiler commercials. So I was just like, okay, if it's not straight story content, I'm skipping it.
That's fair.
Uh, so that disqualifies Blazar, unfortunately, from my mind. I'm trying to remember if Tiga's was the one that was all about courage. No, that was I think Ginga's.
I'm trying to remember. I think
Oh,
Ginga's is the one where it has like the kind of like the melodic like at the start,
I
and then
think
it
it.
like hits
I
the
think
guitar
I.
riff.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be between Tiga and Ginga. Uh, I'll let me see if I can find them real quick.
Okay.
While you think of another good question.
Well, while Alex is looking at that, so let's do a little bit of some fun facts about the Ultra franchise.
Oh,
Um,
some trivia.
so this is a pretty widely known thing. When Eiji Tsuburaya first started making the Ultra franchise with Ultra Q, he was working for Toho at the time, so he would oftentimes take suits from the Toho filming lot, take them over to the lot they were shooting Ultraman on, and just like repaint them and add like little embellishments here and there to make them distinctly different enough that they wouldn't get hit with copyright. Which is why there are two separate, just straight up Godzilla suits used in the Ultra franchise, Jiris and Gomez. One of them has just a frill and a different paint job on it. The other one has a horn and like some modifications to the face a little bit.
But it's really just Godzilla.
Oh, it's 100% just Godzilla. Like it's very open. Like he was open about the fact that like, oh, we're gonna be doing like a reptilian monster this week. All right, I'm gonna go grab the Godzilla suit. We're gonna make some changes. Maybe we'll change it back. Maybe we won't. We'll see what happens. Let's see what else. Other than that, uh, out of like the three large like TV toku shows, Sentai, Rider, and Ultraman. Ultraman is the only one that has won that like Japanese equivalent of the Hugo Award twice. The other two have won it once each. This one has won it. This franchise has won it twice. One for Tiga in '96, and then one for Ultraman Z in 2020.
Right on.
Yep.
I think to get back to the theme song,
Mhm.
I think I like the guitar work in Ginga real well, but I think I like the overall soundscape of Tiga better.
Okay, that's fair.
Very, very 80s feeling soundtrack for Tiga. Just
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the I think it's what their lead instrument is. I can't remember what it was.
I mean, I will agree. It's like I don't think any of them have bad themes. I think it just depends on like they each fit the era that they're being shot in really well. Like the
Yeah.
original Ultraman theme works in terms of like it was really being aimed at kids, so let's have kids sing this theme song. And then they'll watch as Ultraman brutalizes a monster for like 3 minutes at the end of every episode and maybe dismembers it. We'll see.
Yeah. I think Tiga's like lead instruments with that's like saw wave and the guitar mix reminds me of like a workout montage. So I think that just gets me ready for some fun action figure smashing action.
Oh yeah. And each one of them does a good job in terms of like hyping you up in a different way. I will say though, for me personally, having that Ginga theme like come back in when he's fighting and when he's about to like actually kick ass in his fights, always good because you get that moment where like it starts playing and he appears behind the monster and just starts wrecking shop.
Hello.
Oh yeah. Just you wait.
Excellent.
I'm gonna throw a galaxy at you or toss you into geosynchronous orbit or something.
You don't know what I'm gonna do.
He does toss an enemy into geosynchronous orbit at one point.
I figured you weren't lying to me.
Yep. Let's see. What else was a good point of conversation? Okay, so let's talk about. So I'm gonna hit on Tiga because this is an aspect that you wouldn't have like you wouldn't see with the other shows because they don't really do this. Tiga does this. The form change. So the switching between three distinct forms. So that's actually like something that Tiga was the first Ultraman show to do, that he had like 3 distinct forms that he would switch through, one that was based on like obviously strength, one that was a balanced one, and one that was based on speed. So the other shows that I had you watch didn't have that aspect at all to them, like they never do that. But that's actually something that's brought up a lot throughout other Ultraman shows. Like the show immediately after that one, Dyna, also does something similar. Like some of my favorites, like Ultraman G does something similar as well, where it's forms based around like a specific skill set that's necessary for that episode.
Right. Yeah, whatever's needed to beat the monster of the week.
Yep. Oh, I need to go real fast. All right, time to switch to my speed form.
Didn't know I had a speed form? Do now.
Yep. Let's see. What would be another? So going forward, obviously we are gonna watch Ultraman Rising. Now that you've seen these,
which comes out here
tomorrow.
shortly.
Tomorrow, as of the recording of this episode, probably the day it comes out in terms of when it's actually released. But while we're recording it, Ultraman Rising comes out tomorrow. But
a brand new Ultraman movie. I have no idea what to expect.
All right, I was gonna ask. So, what do you think is gonna happen? Like,
I'm wondering what the. I don't think this makes a good bit of difference because, like, I was gonna say what the budget is because the budget on Legendary Godzilla was like 300 million or some stupid number like that, but -1 was 10 million.
Yep.
10 million.
Oh, and it's not even close in my opinion. -1 is a much better film.
Well, not only that, I'm just talking like just visual effects, like the amount of budget to what is put on the screen. Like, come on, the mileage on the dollar that spent on -1 was insane.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm wondering if it's gonna be like a high quality visual effects thing, or if this is gonna be like a normal Godzilla movie that has 80% human, 20% kaiju.
All right, do you want me to
Because if
spoil
it's
some of this for you? Because I can tell you right now.
okay, hit me.
This is a full CG movie. This is all
Full
done.
CG,
Yep, this is all
no
done with.
practical.
Yep, no practical whatsoever. All the characters are going to be full CG.
All the characters are gonna be
There
full
is,
CG?
yep, there is
No
not.
human?
Nope, nothing was shot. It was all computer generated. This is a full CG movie that is coming out.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's a fully animated movie.
Yep,
then,
this is an
you could
animated
say.
movie.
Okay.
This is the first. I mean, there might have been like some There's some animated
I
stuff,
was not expecting that.
but I think this is the first like full-length Ultraman movie that is completely animated.
Wow. Okay. No, was not anticipating that. Doesn't that kind of ruin a little of the charm?
I would say yes and no. I think that what they're going for, I think they're trying to skew this one towards a younger audience, a younger global audience. Like it feels like they want it to be kind of like,
The Ultraman of this generation.
well, I think they want to like kind of ape off of like the Spider-Verse crowd
Mm.
and like a few other big CG movies.
Oh,
And this is the first Western.
don't know about
This is the first Western made Ultra property in like over 20 years. Because there have been a couple of like Western made Ultraman shows. Great and Powered are both Western Ultras. But this is the first.
How do they stack up to the general
not as good.
audience?
I'm just gonna be real, not as good.
There you go.
Powered and Great have eventually gotten they've gotten more love over time, but like their shows don't really stack up very well.
Not quite the prequel trilogy.
I'm trying to remember which one it was. One of them
Everything is Star Wars reference with me.
Yep. Dude, I'm gonna tell you about an Ultra show in a second, and you're gonna be real fucking keen on watching it.
Oh no.
So there's one Ultra show, one of the two, Great or Powered show, I don't remember which, has this problem where, because everything was made by Western companies that didn't really know what to make the suits out of or what to spend the budget on, all their suits were like super breakable, and they didn't want to damage them. So there's like a lot of like, instead of like, hitting, there's a lot of like pushing, or like, let's just focus on using beam attacks. So you're just sticking your hands out like this attacking.
Right.
Let's spend our budget in a way that we don't damage the suit.
Don't make the suit brittle then.
Yep. Or like one where like it's weird, like how like the Ultras have like silver parts to them.
Yeah, that seemed to be like the primary color, or the base color.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
There's one where it's like the head has silver, but then like the parts that should be silver on the body are white because they used like the wrong material. So all the suits, like where should be silver, is just like this weird white instead.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Anyway, so I'm gonna pivot this towards.
I love how it's like, oh well, it's made now. We got to go with it.
Yep. So I'm gonna pivot this towards pitching. So this is not an Ultra show that we're gonna watch right away, but this is a show that I'm gonna get you hyped for.
Okay.
Let's talk
I'm
about
all ears.
my favorite Ultra show, Ultraman Geed, spelled Geed.
What are these words?
That is not even a word. Like Ginga means galaxy, Geed is nothing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Like some of them have real words, like orb. Orb's a word.
Orb is a word, in fact. Orbs seem
Victory.
to be. I
Vic-
mean, the orbs seem to play a crucial part in the first Ultraman.
yeah, true. But yeah, plenty of ultras have like actual like words for their names. Geed is there's an explanation in the show, but it's complicated.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so let's talk about him. I'm gonna pitch this show to you, and I'm gonna start pitching, and you're gonna be like, okay, I'm on board.
I'll tell you when I'm sold.
All right. So on this backwater
Not gonna be
planet, a young man discovers that he has a connection to the special power of light. When he finds it out because of a robot that he comes across, who
is looking for an old man.
He runs into an old warrior of light at one point who has a connection to his father, who is a fallen warrior of light who eventually became enraptured by the darkness and became a galactic despot.
Sold.
Yep.
Why though? Really?
Oh yeah. It's like one of my favorites. It's very Star Wars.
When was Geed? What
I want to say like 2017, maybe not, like maybe 2018.
Relatively new then.
Yeah, like super new. Really easy to get a hold of. That's not one we're going to watch right away, but that is like one of the shows I want to try to get us to watch at some point.
Ultra Geed needs to find old. I wonder if he's talking about old Ben Ultra.
It's a little more complicated. Like it's not a straight up 1-for-1. Like if it was a 1-for-1, Jesus Christ. But like there's certain story beats where it's like, okay, like we can see where you got your ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
an Ultra.
Yep. No,
Okay.
there's.
Yeah. I'm down for that whenever we get around to it.
Okay. There's like one show I want to do before that, because I think like that one thematically ties well in, and then like Geed, because Geed is gonna be dope as fuck, and then maybe Zet.
And are these all like roughly the same length? You said
most
like what, 24?
Yeah, so like most new gen ultras, which is new gen started in like with Ginga and goes to now. Some people are trying to subdivide it into like Heisei new gen versus Reiwa new gen, but I just keep it lumped together until we have enough Reiwa new gen to justify it.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 5 Reiwa new gen ultras. When we get to like 8 or 9, I'll start subdividing. But yeah,
you gotta earn it.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, I don't remember where my point was going on that anymore. I got too distracted by the idea of that. It's like, oh, all right, I have this one specific thing I got to mention, and now I don't remember why I mentioned it.
Well, you said we were gonna watch other shows.
Yeah. So, the next Ultra show I want to watch after we finish up Blazar, because we're pretty far along in Blazar at this point, is I want to do
I gotta
Orb.
catch up to that, absolutely.
Because Orb is the next one I want to watch. Orb is about a guy. So Orb is one of the few ones where the main character is already the Ultraman at the start of the show, and he has been Ultraman for a while.
Oh, is it common for the characters to stay Ultraman for a while, or is it usually like by the end of the seasons they part ways?
No, usually like
they die.
I mean, sometimes.
No.
Ultraman Nexus goes through so many fucking hosts
Oh,
during the
that's not
course of his
okay.
show. During the course of his show, I can think of like, I think he has from the movie that leads into his show. I think he goes through like 4 different hosts.
Because they just go do something else, or
Oh no,
go
like
to a
they straight up they go to a farm. They go to
they
the
go to a
farm.
farm upstate. I was
Yep,
literally
yep,
going to say that.
yep, yep. They go to the farm upstate. No, like he is a very specific ultra, and like straight up, if you're his host, like being his host will kill you. It might not happen right away, but you are going to die because of that.
He's not gonna die.
Well, no,
You might.
no, he becomes God.
Sure.
No, that's
What?
not a joke. That's not a joke.
What?
I just
What is
spoiled
happening?
I just spoiled a 39 episode series. He becomes God.
No. Okay.
Yep. I mean, he's not
Yeah,
the only
no
one,
big,
but yeah.
no big deal though. No big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the journey of how he gets to be God.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yep. But yeah, so Orb is going to be the next. Like Orb is the show that I'm looking forward to us getting to, and then the other one that we have to get to is we're gonna watch Ultraman Arc, because Arc is going to start airing. Like that is going to.
Oh.
Yep. Arc is going to start airing in
Oh.
July, so that's going to be like we're gonna hopefully watch that week to week and talk about Arc, because I have
Man, we are staying
openly.
current.
I was gonna say I have openly talked about it at this point, so I don't feel bad about saying this. Arc, I don't like his design. I don't like.
Oh, it's this one.
Yep, I don't like his design. I think his armors look kind of dumb too. I've heard a little more explanation on his armors, which makes it even weirder. Because his armors apparently are something he can only do when his color timer starts flashing. So he gets a power up as he reaches the end of his time as Ultraman.
Well, that sucks.
Yep. So instead of there being stakes, you know that he's going to get like amped up at the very end. Which I mean, I'll have to see how it's done. I think it's a poor decision, but whatever. I'm not the one in charge of that.
I guess we'll have to wait and see then.
Yep. Yep.
Is this the first season of Arc?
Yeah, so for most Ultras, like Ginga is the only one that has 2 seasons dedicated to him. Well, I guess 7 does too, but that's a weird special circumstance.
Okay.
Most Ultras only get 1 season, and it's usually like a lot. Like with New Gen, it's like 24 to 26 episodes. Older shows had longer run times. I actually think that it's better to have that like 24 to 26 instead of trying to stretch it out to like fit a full year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm usually one for have an idea of how you want to have an ending. Like, don't start something you can't finish.
Yep.
It's so irritating when you get invested in a show and then it goes Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So glad I didn't do that.
Yep. Other than that, before we call this episode, we are also going to be talking about, on the next episode we record, your first exposures to Kamen Rider, which for that one, you are watching the original, you're watching Kamen Rider Black's first episode, you're watching Kuga's first episode, and 01's. And for those, you're going to have like a similar setup where I picked each one because it represented like a point. Like the first one, obvious jumping on point.
Mm-hmm.
Black kind of was a lot of people's jumping on point outside of Japan. Kuga was like another long hiatus jumping on point, and then 01 was the start of the Reiwa generation, which there's enough rider I can justify splitting Reiwa in its own separate thing.
Okay. This one earned it.
I mean, yeah, it didn't have the fucking huge hiatuses like Ultra did, where like Ginga was the first start of the new gen in 2013. Kuga was the start of Heisei in 2000. I can justify that a little more. But yeah, with that, we're going to call this episode of the Mega Monster Cast. Tune in next time when we talk about Kamen Rider. And